to July 2020. Pinkfresh Studio have just released their Days of Splendor collection, and I could not resist the stunning colours in these supplies. Hey creative friends, it's Gwen. Today I am stash busting this collection with the help of beautiful new supplies from Bramble Fox. A big thank you to the lovely creatives who sent me these supplies. I'll share more about them in a moment. It's time to get creating. I'm working with this photo of my daughter, which was taken many moons ago, and I am going with a very fall themed page today. I'm working with this cut file from Cut to You. It is called Oak Leaf Background, and here's a look at the supplies from Bramble Fox. They make the most beautiful accessories for scrapbooks, planners, project life, and cards. They sent me so many beautiful supplies, including the October Fox box. I'll leave all the details in the description box below. A huge thank you to the team for sending me such beautiful supplies to create with. The title for my page has come straight from the Fox box. It is so shimmery and shiny, it's beautiful. All you have to do is take off the backing and it is ready to go. I do need to get working on the layers for the layout. There is going to be a little bit going on here. I really loved the colours in this striped pattern paper, so pretty, and I'm going to use them as a base for really the whole structure of the layout. I do have a very clear plan in my mind for this page, and there is going to be quite a lot of embellishing and elements on the left. I've been chatting a lot about embellishment clusters of late, and these stripes are actually going to form the base of the cluster. I am going to make them just a little bit shorter so that they fit within the bounds of what I've already got happening here. I have gone ahead and created a frame for the layout, so I don't need the full 12-inch length. If you'd like to see a full tutorial on how I create that frame, I will leave a link in the description box below. So here's my plan. I want to add the paper strips first, and I am actually going to stitch them down. So I will just use my ATG to start, making sure that they are nice and straight. I then want to add the cut file over the top. You'll see that here in a moment. So funny thing, as it turns out, I did end up leaving a little white gap in between the strips of pattern paper, which was funny because they were actually sitting on a white base to start with, and then I fussy cut them out and then positioned them back in a very similar way to how they started. I could have added them just as one big piece, but I wanted to have the control over the spacing, and I like that you can see the textured cardstock from behind them, and I wouldn't have had that look had I just added it all as one. I know it's a super small thing, but they do say the devil's in the details, and I like to pay attention to that sort of thing. Now, before I can go ahead and add the cut file, I do need to be a little bit brave because I really want to use a stencil. I am not a super confident mixed media kind of gal, so my strategy has always been to have a really clear plan of exactly where I want it all to go. Yes, I have some control issues, but we won't talk about that. We'll talk about just how easy it is to apply using the brush. What I love especially is that you can go very slowly and you can build the color up slowly as well. So I am going with a lovely warm brown tone, and I am going to add a little bit on the right there and then a little bit more here on the left. How pretty is that stencil? It was so worth being brave because I love so much how this turned out. If you're ever after any of the supplies that I use in my projects, be sure to check the description box below. I am going to finish up the left-hand side here and then run my paper strips through my sewing machine. I've done 4 straight lines, and now I'm going to ruffle up those edges there to create some texture. This handy dandy tool is from Silhouette, and it saves you from getting any paper cuts. It's time to add in my cut file. I am going to use the ATG for that, just in case I want to lift up parts of it to scooch florals or bits and pieces underneath. I love that that tape is repositionable. I like to change my mind. I did notice at this point that I hadn't extended the mixed media out far enough on the left there, so I am going to go back in here and add a little bit more. I do tend to use just a little less than I think because I'd much prefer to have to go back and add more than have too much and not know what to do with it. Remember those square cut aparts from right at the start of the video? Well, they're going to end up right there. It's now time to pull out even more of these lovely supplies. This little packet had a bunch of sentiments that were perfect for this photo. The brown tone was also a really nice match. They are acrylic pieces and they have this lovely dimension to them. I'm also going to fussy cut out that little element there that says treasure today. I really love how well the bits and pieces from Bramble Fox fit with the supplies that I already have. It's a fun way to put a new spin on older supplies, and I love the extra dimension that it gives to a page. A lot of these pieces are quite substantial and they feel very textured, and I love that about them. So the plan for the page is to keep things very nestled in together. It will be left side heavy, so there is going to be some white space down the right hand side there. The clusters are going to flow really well together for this one, but there will be a main cluster, and that is in the top left hand corner of the photo. I will balance that out with a smaller one in the bottom right hand corner. The eye will travel down the page and move from left to right in a very similar way to the way that we read. So while I go through and audition a bunch of supplies, what I'm really thinking about is keeping everything within that flow. I don't want the cluster to get too wild and extend too far out from there. I want to keep everything very nestled in together and quite tight. I've made it really easy for myself too because I'm using a lot of colors from the collection, so I'm not really restricted in terms of color balance here. I can pretty much use anything anywhere, so I am just focusing on the size of the embellishments and how they're working with the flow of the page. Things are getting serious because I am gluing stuff down. I'm just using my Nuvo Deluxe adhesive for the acrylic pieces, and they seem to secure on very well. Just making sure my photo is super straight. I don't have anything really in the background to line it up with, so my T-square ruler is a must-have in that situation. So this is all taking shape. It is missing something though. On all my layouts, I really like to have a mix of sizes of things. I like to have large elements, which might be, say, pattern papers and obviously the photo. It may even be a large title. I then like to have medium-sized elements. So in this case, those are the leaves that run down that left-hand edge there. What I am missing though is medium to small elements. Those smaller details can really add to a layout, so I need to make sure that I'm adding them in now. It's time to audition a couple of these round chipboard elements from the collection. I do also find some puffy stickers to work with. The easiest way to get a consistent look for the page is to replicate elements in the clusters. So I am going to use 2 of those round chipboard pieces. The acorn there at the top of the page, that's one, and I will add another one down on the bottom right hand side. Will someone please remind me in the comments below that I need more glue? I keep forgetting to grab a fresh bottle and I never want to get up halfway through a layout. So I am just systematically going through everything now and adding a little bit of glue under each piece. I don't like to pick things up. I much prefer to keep them in position and pop the glue in under like so. There is a little more embellishing to do. I do want to fill out these clusters a little bit. If you imagine a line around the outside edge of all of your cluster, you want that line to be super interesting. If I see an area that perhaps needs a little more interest, I'll just add in a leaf or 2. If you want your cluster to have a detailed look, make that outside edge really interesting. If you want it to have more of a clean and simple look, then keep that outside edge really clean and simple. So here are the sprinkles for the page. I am going to add in some clusters of enamel dots. I prefer to use these in groups of 3s and will often place them to create a visual triangle on the page. I also like to vary the size of the dots within each cluster. If you're not too sure on placement, try marking them out with a pencil first. You can then place the enamel dot over the top of your pencil dot. And that's the layout complete. It's time to share with you some close-up images so you can see the stencil there, the paper layers, and the stunning Bramble Fox supplies. Looking for even more stash busting ideas? This layout features supplies from Maggie Holmes and is sure to inspire. Be sure to watch it next, and I will see you all again very soon. Until then, bye!